Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Brownstone. I'm your host, Dr. Michele, and you're listening to Numbers Don't Lie. We learn to get out your feelings so you can make the best decisions for yourself, your family, and your business. I am super excited about today's episode because it's like a reunion, reunited and it feels so good. So, back when I first started entrepreneurship, I actually started in personal finance, still numbers, still data, but it was in the finance world. And one of my friends, she was like one of my biggest cheerleaders, but she also was on her own personal finance journey. And so we would meet on Instagram once a month, and it was called Mondays with Mo. So I have brought Mo back this time, but it's not about money. It's about what she actually does in real life for her career, which is in education. So for those of you the first time listening to me, I'm a former educator. Mo is a current educator. And so she's going to give us an inside peek about what the climate looks like today at the elementary level, how does success look for that level, and what can the community do to better support the students, faculty, and staff. I'm excited, y'all. I don't know how this is going to go. Her and I cut up sometimes. So we're going to try to stay focused. Okay. So without further ado, please welcome my friend, Monisha Whitfield.
On a show, like they should be applauding me when I come in.
I'll listen. I'll add some applause in there.
Hey,
I'll add some
Dr.
applause.
Michelle.
Hey, girl. Hey.
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing well. Doing well. Glad
That's
that
good.
all of the weather has passed on by because, you know, it was a little rough and rocky, but we made it. We made it.
Listen, and then they talking about a heat wave now. I'm like, what's with this extreme temperatures?
It was
God,
hot
I'm
yesterday.
trying to tell you something. All right, I'm done. All right, before we get too turned off, like on the wrong road so early, let's go ahead and tell the people who you are, like all that you do, and what makes you you.
Well, I am Monisha Whitfield, and as Dr. Michelle said earlier, we are really good friends, and we used to have these chats back in the day when she was doing finances. But like she said, today we're going to be talking about education. So I currently work in an elementary school where I am the MTSS interventionist, which MTSS just means multi-tiered systems of support. So with that, I just kind of navigate things, but I think we're going to get into that a little later. But I also do a little bit of coaching, which is new to me. So I'm outside of the classroom helping educators, helping students. I'm working with the district, kind of lending information. So I kind of do a lot of different things at my school. But yeah, that's what I'm doing right now.
So, how long have you actually been in education mode, like in the classroom or in the school?
Ooh. So I technically started in education right out of college, honestly. So since 2011, official teacher in the classroom, 2012, and then I took, my year off. So
A gap
yeah,
year.
11, 12 years ish. Oh,
Wow,
yeah, I know. It's crazy, right?
that's crazy.
Mhm.
That's crazy. So our last guest, she had been in the classroom, I think, for like 10 years. So we got some veterans up here, even though they
I
don't look
know.
old enough.
Okay. Okay.
They are, in fact, veterans, have experience, and can really give a accurate view of what's happening in the classroom. All right. So before we get into any deep stuff, could you share like one of your favorite memories? It could be in the classroom or your role as a coach.
Um, a favorite memory. Okay, so I taught kindergarten, just to give a little background. I also taught third grade and I taught fourth grade. But kindergarten is uh it's sweet, it's special. The kids are a lot more dependent upon you, but it has its rewards because by the second half of the semester, kids are more independent and you really get to see them grow and blossom. So, love that. So, there was this little boy in a kindergarten class, well, in my kindergarten class, and he had never been to school, like no daycare, nothing. So, the very first day that he came into the classroom, it was horrible. Like he was he didn't want to leave his mama. His mama was trying to go. She had to stay a few extra minutes. And we were like, no, just go ahead and go. He'll be fine. He's like kicking, screaming, shouting, like trying to run out the door to get her. And it was just kind of like, you know, he's going to adjust. So it was
Mhm.
really hard for him the very first couple of months, actually, very
Wow.
hard exterior. Like you have this little 5-year-old who has so much anger and aggression and just tries to be so macho. And by the end of the year, he was just this whole different kid. He was smiling, where in the beginning, his face was always just very strong and I'm mad and angry. But by the end, he's reading and he's smiling and he's laughing. And you could tell that he was taking pride in all the things that he was capable to do. So, like that little boy in particular has a very special place in my heart because just to see that growth from him, it's like he learned to love school, whereas before he hated it because he didn't know it. So, yeah, that's a very memorable moment for me.
Okay. Now that she's done cutting onions, guys. But you actually said something that the last guest said, which was he hated it because he didn't know it. And one
Hmm.
thing she said was she hated data. She hated, like, because at school, like, I don't know how
Yes.
it is in the elementary level, but at high school level, it was a lot of testing. It was very data driven. Like, it was a lot, and it could be overwhelming to those that really don't like data. Numbers, math is very intimidating. And she was like, I hate it because I did not understand it. But it was like, it's once I did, oh baby, it was all good. So it sounds
Hmm.
like that's just a, human behavior to resist something that they don't understand.
Yes, for sure. When you're talking about data within the elementary world, just in education altogether, we always talk about like we're more than a number or we're more than a letter grade. For people that don't know, schools are graded, especially in elementary, they are graded, but on their performance,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you're looking at third, fourth, and fifth graders who take end of grade tests, and they take that and they look at how well students grew. And then they also look at if students met expectations. So pretty much third, fourth, and fifth grade, what some teachers like to say is our school score is just based on that, but actually it's not. It's a collective. Like we're looking at how students have been learning over time, and
Mm.
all of that helps to create this score. So, yeah, it can be a lot for teachers who can get frustrated and they're like, I don't understand data.
Yeah. So you mentioned testing and all that stuff, and I'm sure most all of us have been a student at some point, so we get the testing, and maybe things are different because I know when I was teaching, those students got tested way more than I did. I just remember having a test for your class, even in elementary schools, like maybe you had to
Mhm,
test it in your unit, and test third, fourth, fifth, and beyond the end of grade test or end of course test, and that was it. You know what I mean? But it was when I was teaching, it was like every 2 weeks, and it was a lot. So could you
mhm,
talk to us about your school and maybe the district and like what defines success? Because we hear this the school's getting graded, the students
mhm.
getting graded. Like, what does success look like at that, especially at the elementary level?
So, pretty much like I said, we get this letter grade. And then, of course, from your district, my district in particular, you have a superintendent who has set a goal for all of
Okay.
the schools in the county. Like all the schools in the county will be a C and above, right? And so you're looking at some schools which are impoverished. That are performing below grade level. And what I mean by that is schools that have kids that come from backgrounds where they may have a home, they may not have a home. They may have the resources that they need, they may not. And so for us, we look at success overall, realistically speaking. They're
Wow.
looking at this number, at this
Mm-hmm.
grade. But for us as a school in our unit, we're looking at our growth.
Yeah.
Like, how are we growing kids? Because if I'm at a F and I'm trying to get to a C, I have to close that gap, but it's not going to happen by taking these large amount of steps. Like you have to make
Right.
realistic goals and you have to put in actionable measures so that you can reach this. So ultimately, if we're growing, that
Mm-hmm.
means we're going to reach that goal. And
Yeah.
so for us, we're really looking at how much growth we're making, because at my school, we have a lot of gaps. Some kids come not ever going to school. Um, and that's a whole nother, you know,
Not just
uh,
like entering
conversation.
kindergarten, like
Yes,
third
like
grade and
no pre-K, no nothing, like no daycare. Like some kids just come
okay,
to kindergarten, just not without any
foundational
social
skills.
skills,
Mm-hmm.
foundational skills, yes. And so when they get there, you're starting from probably below ground zero, because education doesn't just happen in the school system, it happens at home. Like, your
Right.
kids are sponges. They are paying attention to what you're doing. They are learning from you. And so education is not just in a brick and mortar building, it
Mm-hmm.
happens around you on the daily. So
Wow.
yeah, we look at growth
I
and
love
how
that.
we're growing students, because if not, it can be um discouraging to say, like,
Yes.
oh man, we're still not where we need to be, or we're still not making these goals. But let's look at what we are doing, and how
Mm-hmm.
do we continue to grow. And so
Yeah.
those are successful measures that we look at.
And I'm glad you said that because I like to call them success metrics because it's KPIs or key performance indicators, like that's very generic, but I like to say success measures because it's what is your definition of success, and that could be different across different schools or whatever. And even just the idea that, oh, we want to have all schools at a C or all schools at a B, it really, like my last guest said, that it doesn't take into account the circumstances of your
Mhm.
students. And so I'm just kind of imagining being a parent of a child that maybe has tested below for a couple of years and seeing, like, hey, what's their school assignment for next year? Like, this school has, I don't know, a high rating for the level of growth. Students that perform, have consistently underperformed, experience this amount of growth. I think for me, that would be more enticing and exciting to put my student at school, as opposed to, oh, this student is a B level schools. I'm like, well, what does that mean? Like,
Mhm.
I don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, that
Yeah,
doesn't really have it has, most people interpret it as one thing, but like tangibly, what does that even mean? You know what I mean?
correct. Mhm.
Did you know that data driven organizations were 19 times more profitable? 19. You heard me right. Perhaps you're asking, what is data driven and how do I become one of those organizations? I'm so glad you asked. I want you to go take a quiz. It's a simple, quick quiz to help you assess if you are, in fact, one of those organizations. Head over to mogulbeginnings.com/data into dollars quiz now. That's mogulbeginnings.com. You just go to mogulbeginnings.com and it'll show you the data into dollars quiz. Take it now. You'll see if you're on your way to 19xing your profitability. You're listening to Numbers Don't Lie on KCCR Cityscape. We hope you're enjoying the tunes and all the jams. Make sure you visit our website over at brownstoneworldwide.com to learn about all things Brownstone. You can check out Brownstone Living Magazine and all the great things that we have on the website, as well as the shop. You just got to head over to the website, brownstoneworldwide.com.
Keeping it locked to KCCR Radio,
My station.
the Brownstone Center. And don't forget, no matter where you go, there we are.
A lot of parents don't view it that way. They are looking at schools that are at that A, that B, that C. A lot of people are looking at charter schools, private schools. And the thing is, but are these schools still growing your child? And that should matter to you.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. I agree. And just being someone that was a high achiever, when you're at high achieving schools, if you if you've never if you're walking into the classroom, or and you, I don't want to say weren't a high achiever, maybe haven't been challenged, or maybe don't have those foundational skills, being at a high achieving skills, what they expect. And I taught in a high achieving class. So you're not
Mhm,
coming in here talking about some, oh, I need a review of something 2 grades ago. Baby, that's not, you don't get that
mhm,
here. You have to go back 2 grades. Like, so when you're at a high achieving school, I think a lot of times, like, it looks good to say, oh, this is an A school, we have all this and that. But if unless you kind of have that student that has an internal motivation, and doesn't always need the extra support, that school can be very intimidating and maybe even crush the students' morale if they aren't able to keep up. So
Mm-hmm.
like I don't know. I just want to. I hope at the end of this episode there's more of a well-rounded view of education and what those like success looks like even at an elementary level for your child, because like a lot of places have school choice where you can like choose where your child goes to school,
Mm-hmm.
and I just look at like the letter grade, like it's more than just that.
Yes, yes. And I think you hear that quite often.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard, just being honest, I've heard situations where parents are, I'm going to take my child out of this school and put them in this school, or I'm not going to do that because this environment is great for my kid loves school. I like what the staff does, I like the principal, XYZ. So it's not just about um you know this letter grade, but it's
Mm-hmm.
about how are you being treated, what is the culture of the school. Culture and climate is a very big um, thing when it comes to schools. So
Yeah.
it's not just about academics, but how do I feel as a parent? How does my child feel in the school? What is the communication like here? So those things matter.
Absolutely. And even what you just said reminded me, well, the last guest really talked about culture, and some of my clients that work in the education system, they're really big on setting the culture, especially for students of color. And it was, I don't know if you saw this post. It was a young Black girl. She like maybe in her 20s, and she was talking about being a child that was put in a predominantly white school because
Mhm,
the idea of it is a better school or
mhm,
it's a better performing school, but meanwhile, the culture and the climate of school beat those students, that those Black students that go to those predominantly white schools. The
mhm,
culture and the climate beats them down so bad that they were saying it's so much unlearning they have to do as an adult. So they were saying it's not worth it to put your child in those schools. Just pay for the extra tutoring. So I'm like, again, it's not just about this letter grade for the school of what's the district or this person that probably hasn't taught or schools in 20 years or whatever,
mhm,
apparently
mhm,
now it's not a qualification to have any education background to work on a school board or anything. You got anyway, that's a whole nother
mhm,
story.
mhm.
But that culture it really influences the academic side too. So I'm really glad you said that.
Yeah.
So now I want to talk about you more as the coach. So we talked about you kind of working with students and what that looks like, but you as a coach in supporting teachers. So what does success look like for you supporting teachers?
Oh man, success looks like teachers achieving their goals, like their needs being met. And so on the coaching side of things, I'll participate in walkthroughs with my leadership team, and we're walking through and we're giving feedback on what we see. And I always when I send out my report to them, it's not like a I got you. When we were in the classroom, we always felt like when somebody was coming around
Yeah.
that they were just trying to catch us not doing something. But I'm always trying to trigger them
Mm-hmm.
to think about things differently. So it's not like a you should be doing this and you should not be doing that. It's like I wonder. So I'll always end with a I
Oh.
wonder question, and then I'll get them to think about it. And I'll just say, if you want to have a sit down conversation with me, then we can do that. Or if I feel like I need to, I'll say, can you sign up for a time? So I'm getting them to think and reflect, because that is a very big practice. It's
Mm-hmm.
just being reflective of your instruction. So I'll get them to reflect, and then they'll come to their own aha, like by me asking probing questions. Like, did you ever think about this? Or what do you think will happen if this happens? Or why did you choose to do that? So, getting teachers to think about why they're doing things, that allows you to see, okay, what are their glows and grows? That's what we
Mm-hmm.
call them. So, like, what are things that they're really, really good at? What's a glow? And then what's something that they can grow in? And most time teachers know what they want to grow in. And
Mm-hmm.
so once you establish that, you just kind of set a plan like, okay, if this is the area that you want to grow in and this is going to have this kind of impact, then we're going to take small steps to get you there where you feel comfortable. And then we'll go on to the next goal. So that's kind of my approach when it comes to success for teachers. And it's always great to hear teachers say, oh, I tried what you said, or I tried what we talked about, because I'm getting them to set their own goals.
Hmm.
So I tried this and it worked out well, or can you come and observe me doing this and give me some feedback? So I really want in this role is to be the help. Like, how can I help you? How can I serve you? How can I build you up so that you feel like a
Hmm.
strong educator and that you're doing your best? So that is what success looks like to me, like teachers accomplishing what they want to do and seeing themselves be a better educator.
I love that. And I love the constant feedback. I remember one time I was teaching and it was this random man. Like he didn't, they had like the people the district sent, and they had the people inside the school like you. So it's like we
Yep.
knew the people inside the school. So it's like, you can come in anytime. But the people that like were foreign come in,
Hmm.
my students would get defensive. They'd
Yep.
be like, who is this person? Why are they trying to tell you? Chat.
Hmm. Not on the spot, on the spot feedback.
It wasn't on the spot, but they just didn't like him being in there.
Okay.
He
Yeah.
would give me
Yeah.
feedback later, but it was like you said, the idea of somebody observing you, it always seems like they're trying to catch you. And
Yeah.
so they would like be offended for me. They're like, who is this person? Like, we don't
Yes.
know them. Are you trying to like say something about you? They okay, this is the last thing. And
Okay.
I'm gonna let you go on about yourself. So we talked about your role as a teacher, as a coach, assisting other teachers, and even diversity in your school, inclusion. Um, Now I want you, I guess, to think about how the community and these community organizations could actually be a better support to students as well as faculty. So I work with different like I guess they're educational organizations where they do support students, and a lot of times they end up supporting the teachers as well and the administrators,
Hmm.
because as administrators they got a heavy load on their back. So
Ooh,
when other people
baby.
can come in and help support them, it kind of like relieves that stress a bit. So I guess just thinking about your experience, like what are ways that these community organizations really come in and help these students and the faculty and staff, like help these students reach these goals?
Hmm. So with our school, we actually took inventory of all of our community partnerships. We
Wow.
have a family liaison person at our campus, and she does a good job of getting people to come in to donate things. So one of the things that we have a church that's donating snacks to our school, and so each classroom we give them a snack bin because not all kids can afford to bring snack, or
Right.
maybe, for whatever reason, the parent is not sending a snack with them, right? And so that's one of the ways. Another way is that we have volunteers coming in. They're reading to the kids, right? We have other volunteers who are coming in and they're donating snacks to the teachers or lunch to the teachers, breakfast. Because, with teaching, it's a very, um, um, it's not a very monetary job. It's
Girl,
not,
we know what you're saying.
it's not giving, but it's nice that people think about you and want to give that time,
Mm-hmm.
because teachers, need a break. Sometimes in some settings, teachers are with their kids all day. So I know
Right.
some schools where they have a really big PTA, which we're trying to build our PTA. The parents will come in and they'll give duty free lunch to the teacher so that they're not
Oh,
with their kids all day, because we're talking about an 8 hour window and you're not with your kids for an hour and a half of that time, which, maybe perhaps I can come in and give you an extra 30 minutes by covering your lunch, and so people can get on through that by volunteering at the school. Another way that we have people volunteer, we have a lady in the community. She brings books to our third, fourth, and fifth graders, or like they'll pick grade levels and they'll buy a set of books and they'll bring them over because they're trying to encourage kids to read. So I would really just reach out to the people in your community and see how, think about what you need, first of all. Let's
mm-hmm.
start there. Think about what you need. What do you think would be beneficial for your school? And then just solicit, ask those people, because there are lots of companies out here who are trying to be active in the community, who are
Yeah.
trying to give back. So it's just all about knowing what you need and approaching it in that way. So that's one way when we're looking at the people from the outside. But also within that community, you have your school. And so as a school, you think, oh, we're just here to educate the students. And that's not always the case. Sometimes we have to educate the parent because education
Mm-hmm.
is always changing. And so making the time to host parent sessions so that you're teaching your parents how they can support their kids at home. We have a huge ESL population. So maybe that might look like we're going to host uh, a day that parents come in and that they can learn English. That was something that our county did because we are heavily populated. We offer classes where teachers, if they wanted to go and learn Spanish, they could, and parents, if they wanted to learn English, they could. So that's something that the district provided for our community. But within your school, think about what your parents need. And if you're trying to get them on board and you want them to help in the success of the student, then you need to make them feel involved and you need to empower them. Don't just assume or don't assume that they know or that they don't know, but you do
Mm-hmm.
need to offer the resources to them. So I think that is a big thing. And make parents feel included, invite them out, try to get them out as much as possible and involved in what's going on in their child's life. So those would be some of the things that I would say as a community would be beneficial.
I love that. And
Mhm.
at first, when you were even talking, a lot of those things are very tangible,
Mhm.
like snacks. Baby, listen, give
Yeah,
me some snacks. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, yeah.
I've been so excited if I knew that I had snack, like, yo, we can go to the break and they got snacks in there. Or like you said, have stuff for my students that I don't have to come out of my pocket for. Because
Hmm.
do they still even have that tax write-off for teachers anymore?
Yeah, they do, but
Is it lower?
is it 200?
Okay, I feel like it's been
250?
lowered over the years, but I mean it's just nice to be able to relieve, like you said, educators of different duties. So I love this tangible things that you've mentioned. And I mean the common theme is we want parents involved in their
Hmm.
students' education. So I love that, include them, because even though sometimes people sound like they want parents involved, at the same time it's like, do
Hmm.
you really, you know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Because it's like you're
Hmm.
not really, you're just telling them, you're not giving them a form to tell you or to talk to you. I don't know. I like that.
Yeah,
I think it does have to be more synergy and a more of an effort on both parties to be able to work together, because that is, it is our child that has to grow up. At some point is going to be a lawyer or a politician or a leader somewhere, and we want to, as a community, equip that person to be able to do what they need to do.
yeah, exactly.
All right, Miss Mo, it's been a pleasure chatting with you as
Sure.
always. This doesn't air on Monday. Well, maybe you listen to it on a Monday. If you listen to it on Monday, it's been Monday with Mo.
Okay, okay.
But if not, this has been Numbers on Live featuring Monisha Whitfield.
Yes, yes.
Could you tell people like how they can connect with you if they want to chat more or hear, just kind of peek into your brain a little bit more about your perspective on education?
Yes, you can reach me on Instagram at Miss underscore motivator, Motivator. Just shoot me a message. And if you want to talk a little more about education, then we can do that. I'm open and I would love to be a resource or help as any way I can.
Awesome. And thanks, guys, for tuning in to another episode of Numbers Don't Lie with me, Dr. Michelle. Of course, you can always reach out to me or follow me on social media at Mogul Beginnings. That's Mogul, Mogul Beginnings. You can go to my website, mogulbeginnings.com. And if you are a community organization that wants to get into the school system, that maybe perhaps you're already in there and you need to show your impact, that's something that we do at Mogul Beginnings. Reach out to me. You can go to my website, mogulbeginnings.com, and just schedule a consultation with us. It's free. Okay. Quick to the point, so we can see how we can help you expand into more schools, be able to showcase your impact, so you can just go further and faster. I think that's all. I hope you guys have a great rest of your week. Oh, yeah. Check out more resources at the Brownstone. Go to brownstoneworldwide.com, as well as, social media, the Brownstone Worldwide. Okay. I think that's all. Have a great rest of your week, guys. And until next time.